G'day everyone, welcome back to the food room. Today we're going to make some mini pizzas. So the kids are going to make these individually. So they'll come and collect their ingredients for their base, and then they'll come and select a range of toppings, and I'll show you what they are in a minute. Before we make a start in doing our cooking, we need to go through our hygiene. So my hair is up, I've got an apron on, I've been over to the sink area and I've washed my hands for that sort of 20 seconds happy birthday song, singing happy birthday quietly. And I'm about to turn on our oven. So our oven today goes on to 230. And I'm going to make sure that fan is on. Now, when you're in the food room, it's really important to make sure you're organising your safety for your ovens. So once a person turns the oven on, if they're cooking at the same bench, the other person needs to check the oven. And then either myself or my food assistant will go around the room, make sure the ovens are on properly, and then we just let each other know, like a little tag team, to make sure that's all sorted. I'm going to go through our ingredients that we're using for the mini pizzas today. We need a cup of self-raising flour. We need a tablespoon of oil. We need 90 mils of milk. And there's some tomato paste, which we will get a tablespoon of. Now there is a range of other ingredients here, and they're for our toppings. So there is some chili flakes, oregano, sliced pineapple, sun-dried tomatoes, and look at that, that's just an art piece on its own. So there's some bacon, salami, ham, capsicum, onion, grated cheese, mushrooms, and spinach. So when we do the pizzas in the food room, we actually give the students an option. If you let them put everything on, they will put everything on and stack it up. So we sort of might say, okay, you might get a quarter of an onion and a quarter of a capsicum, one ring of pineapple. You might have your meat, your cheese, and your tomato paste and some flavorings, but then you have 3 extra additional ingredients on the top rather than the 10 that we've got out. Okay, so we're starting with our pizza base, and our recipe has it at 1 cup of self-raising flour. So when we're collecting our flour, we make sure that we have our own, each container has its own utensils, so we don't have any cross-contamination. You take a large scoop, overfill your flour, use the back of your knife to put that into your sifter. And as exciting as it is watching me sift, that's your sifting all done. I'll just put that on the other bench. Then I'm going to grab a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm going to put that over the top of the bowl so it doesn't go everywhere. And if it does, that's okay. Whoops, here we go. And we also need 90 mils of milk. Now when you're getting your milk, you want to make sure, we encourage the students to get down on the bench so that they're at eye level. And we're getting 90 mils. Ta-da. And then that gets poured into our mixture. I'm just going to take that around to the bench with my recipe. And I'm going to be using a knife, a butter knife, to give that a stir. Now, it doesn't say on our recipe to use a wooden spoon, which of course you can use a wooden spoon, but I was asking the question why. Reason being is we only have a little bit of mixture. Come in and have a look. So by the time we use a wooden spoon, half the mixture will get stuck on the wooden spoon, and we don't want that. So I'm using one hand to hold the bowl, almost want to do some sculpture with the dough rather than eat it. Oh no, I think I can eat it. I'll wait. Okay, that's coming together nicely. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of extra dough on the board. Spread that around. Grab our mixture. Make sure I get any leftover bits and pieces. Divide it in half. And start to put that together. Knead the dough for the count of 10. Can you count with me? I think we're up to 4, 6, 7, 12, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now we'll do the same for the next one. Still floured, putting it together. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now these are going to be our bases. So we're going to start to put them together. Now the reason we only do the 10 sort of count is because if you let people, they handle the clay. I did art, so that's why I'm saying clay. They handle the dough too much. So by the time you handle the dough too much, it will become quite tough. And we don't need to do that. And then I'm just going to start to roll that out. You want to make sure it doesn't stick to your board. Now the dough will work with you, but you need to work with the dough. So if I want the dough to go in a particular direction, I roll it in that direction. And they're mini pizzas, so they don't have to look, we want them to look pretty nice, but we don't want it to look too perfect. I think that's the good thing about having handmade pizza bases and dough. Now, you don't want to get it too thin and you don't want to get it too thick, because if it's too thick, it'll taste like a scone, but nothing wrong with scones. But we want to sort of get it that sort of pizza shape. Tear a little bit off there, stick it onto there. Okay, I'm happy with that size. So I'm going to grab a baking tray and I'm going to put my pizza on my baking tray, which has the paper on. Here's another way to lift up your pizza dough if you wish. Now, if you can get baking paper, I 100% encourage you to get your baking paper, because it's a lot less mucking around, helps keep everything clean when the kids are all packing up. So our pizza bases are ready, and now we're going to start to put in our toppings, and I can already feel my mouth watering because it's going to be nice and tasty. So we're going to get some tomato paste, pop that on there. Spread that around. Ooh, a bit trendy having the plate go around. Now I'm an edge person, so I actually like my edges done. If you ask my kids, my husband, definitely like my edges done. Okay, put that aside. Now I've got a few little chili flakes. Just a few, just sprinkle a couple on there, not too much. And then, what was that one? Some oregano. Looking tasty. And that goes back in there. I'm going to start to cut up our meat. So you want to make sure that your fingers are out of the way. It's cut up. So that technique of slicing and going one way and then going the other. And that will sit on our piece. A few blank spots. Okay, now then I'm going to choose some capsicum. Now I'll probably just cut up a quarter of a capsicum. What I'm not going to use will go in our food scrap container, which we have on the bench. Now, you do need to consider your presentation when you're cooking your food. But you know, you can also consider what sort of sized things that you want to put on your pizzas. So for example, if I was doing mushrooms on my pizza, I would cut my mushrooms up quite finely. But if my husband was doing the mushrooms, he would put larger chunks on the mushrooms. So that's sort of a preference, but also a presentation thing as well. Making sure my fingers are out of the way. Sprinkle that on. I'm going to do a little bit of onion. Onion's always fun to do in the food room. We always make a few kids cry. Ha ha ha. Nah. We try and explain, you know, there's all different ways, and what do you call it when people have lots of different scenarios on how to do things, like wives' tales or
household hints? Or
yeah, household hints.
yes.
On how to do it. My household hint: do it as quick as you can and then move it away from your eyes. One way, and then the other. Sprinkle some of that on. Spread that around. Get that away from my eyes. I'm going to grab some of the spinach leaves. Oh, should have done more. Not mustard on it? No? Don't mind. A bit of fresh basil. Oh my god, it smells so good. You could tear that up as well if you wanted to. And some cheese. How long did I say that needed to be in the oven for? Did I say? Oh, that's looking tasty. If you're on the other end of this video, I bet you are wishing that you could have some. But that's okay. I'll let you know what it tastes like. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take this over to the oven. So again, making sure that you're in a safe place when you're walking around the room with a tray of food, making sure that the oven door is completely open so it doesn't bounce back, and your tray goes landscape into the oven, and we close that up without letting it bang. So 15 minutes, 5, 10, 15. If you're not going to remember, write it down. My pen is gone, there it is. and I will bring you back when that's ready to take out of the oven. So the pizza has been in the oven for a little bit longer than that 15 minutes. So I left it in there a little bit longer because I had stacked a few of those ingredients on there. So I'm using my oven mitt. As you can see, I've made sure my space is nice and clear. And then I'm going back over while I'm filming the pizza. I'm closing the oven door and I'm turning the oven off and the fan off. So yeah, my pizza's, maybe a little overdone with the cheese there, but I wanted to make sure they're all cooked through. And you can always check to see if they're cooked through by just grabbing a palette knife and just checking that that's all nicely done there. Happy with that. Okay, so I can see it, I can smell it, and I'm going to enjoy eating it. And I'm sure you'll be envious as well. So enjoy your mini pizzas.